no problem for the Rockets last night as James Harden ordered another 50-piece and got a few extra thrown in, going for 57 points in a win over the Grizzlies. It was his 17th straight game with 30 or more in his third 50 of the season, but as we've seen in the past, things change in the playoffs. True or false? The Rockets' reliance on Harden will hurt them long term.
I mean, possibly true, but honestly, who cares? I mean, you've got to get to the postseason first, and they don't have all these guys. I mean, they are playing. First off, they're starting two guys, the Rockets are, that they picked up off the waiver wire this year, which is pretty incredible, in Austin Rivers and Daniel House last night. Gary Clark getting numbers. They don't have guys. So Harden is asked to do this crazy amount offensively, carry this team. And yeah, he could burn out in the playoffs. We've seen it happen. He's fine in game ones generally, and then as the series goes on, he seems to tire and the shot disappears a little bit. But you got to still get there. You can't really, what's your other option here? Cut his minutes, have him sit games, and risk losing games and maybe not even make the dance?
Yeah,
I don't know. Like, you got to still get there. Maybe it happens again, unfortunately, but I'd rather be in there and find out whether he loses it again in the playoffs than not be in at all. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. It's wild watching this run and then looking at the standings, seeing that they're only 2.5 games up on the 9th spot, and that they could fall out especially because of the way that they play. And it's James Harden. He had 57 points last night. The rest of the Rockets had 55. Which is bonkers.
It's
and
wild.
He's going to get every opportunity. The way they play, they kind of play like a high school team sometimes with a really good player. Just give him the ball every single time, and we'll just watch. Especially with Capella out. Eric Gordon comes back very soon, and that will help. He should help. Anyways, as long as he's healthy, he's going to get a lot of opportunities himself.
Speaking of health, he missed 10 games last year, but the 3 seasons prior to that, he only missed 4 games. So he's actually pretty resilient. Mm-hmm. Like, he gets through the regular season okay, but it's just when you get to the playoffs, whether or not it just catches up with him, all that mileage in his legs. So that is going to be a thing. You talk about, sitting him down. Well, Gordon's coming back. Chris Paul should be back soon. He seems to be...
Couple of weeks.
Yeah, he's not too far away. And when those guys come back, if the Rockets can at least just solidify their place in the playoffs, then maybe you just at least cut his minutes somewhat and hope that you can preserve him for the playoffs. Because all this great season, and he may go on to win the MVP, it's not going to count for all that much if they do flame out in the first round. I mean, you want to sort of see it sort of lead to somewhere else. But history tells us that James Harden does have an issue sometimes of just holding up in the playoffs.
And do you buy it? Do you buy that sometimes he's had these poor performances in the playoffs because he's asked to do so much over the course of a season that, you get into April and May and so on, and you're just tired?
Yeah.
And he doesn't have any left in the tank?
Yeah, I mean, there's so much of the offense is relied upon him. I mean, that's why they got Chris Paul in the first place.
Right.
And look how close they came last year. But the year before that, he just couldn't do it against the San Antonio Spurs. And again, when it's in the playoff series and you've got a lot more time to plan for a guy like the Spurs did, they came back in that series and really worked him over and wore him down. So you can take advantage of that if you're the opponent by saying, all right, let's see if we can just make him use the ball so much that it does wear him down.
It's fun to analyze the Rockets for us. We have to do that. But it's also fun just to watch this run that James Harden is going on. And he lost his number 1 assist partner in Clint Capella. And yes, he may be tired, but for us, it's fun to watch.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. I mean, it's Iverson-like a little bit. Just like, here, do everything for us and score as much as you possibly can and set up guys and all that. He's unbelievable. 57, it was like not even really that big a deal anymore with this run he's been on. All right, final one here, Trey.
Kristaps Porzingis tore his ACL nearly a year ago, so you might think he'll be back soon, but not so fast, my friend. Because according to Bleacher Report's Howard Beck, there are rumors that the Knicks will keep Porzingis out the whole season, even if he's ready to play. Furthermore, there are rumors this is causing tension with the unicorn. You never want to cause tension with the unicorn. True or false? Porzingis should play when healthy.
True.
You think it's true?
I think it's true.
If he's 100% healthy,
you can understand it from both sides. The Knicks don't want him to come back because he's good and he increases their wins, and that means there's less chance they get that number 1 pick. But you can also understand Porzingis like, I don't care, I want to play.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's Michael Jordan, but this same thing happened to Michael Jordan in his second season when the Bulls wanted him to sit out when he hurt his ankle, and he was like, I'm playing if I'm healthy.
Right.
I don't care about the rest of it. And you can understand Kristaps Porzingis, he's a star player. He's missed so much time. If he's healthy, he's like, let me play. Mm-hmm. This is not a Chandler Parsons situation either, where a guy who's come in and hasn't been the star player on the team. Porzingis is a star. The hunger is there to play. If he's healthy, I think he should play.
Yeah, if you're the Knicks, you weigh the options here. Sit him out and potentially peeve him off.
Yeah.
Or maybe win a game or two. I don't think you're going to win that many games with Kristaps Porzingis back because he's not going to be 100%. It's going to take him some time. You can liken it to Jordan. You can liken it to Zach LaVine coming back. You can liken it to Paul George coming back. Play him some minutes so he's not angry.
Yes.
And maybe win a game or 2 or 3 or whatever. Just don't make the unicorn mad.
Yeah, I agree with that. All you're saying, as long as he is 100% clear to go, you can put him in there. You don't have to play him in back-to-backs. Like exactly, Paul George breaks his leg with Team USA, misses the entire basically season with the Pacers there. But they did play him at the end. He played 6 games. Yeah. 15 minutes here and there just to get going a little bit. And I'm with you. Even when Porzingis was there last year, the Knicks are not that good that a rusty Porzingis is suddenly going to have them, back in the playoffs. That's not going to happen. So
you don't want to peeve him off.
No, don't peeve him off.
No peeve.
You don't say peeve enough anymore.
Master peeves.
All right, when we come back, Uncle Splash 3D joins us live from Philly to set up Butler's first game versus the Old Wolves.
Jake Peeves.
Tonight on NBA TV, we got the Wolves and the 76ers, followed by the Bulls and Lakers. It's a players-only type of night. And joining us live from Philly to set up that first game, it's the Grill Daddy himself, Dennis Scott.
See those grill marks? 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 See those grill marks?
We see those grill marks. We see 3D. There he is in Philly, bobbing away. He loves his theme song. What's up, Dennis?
All is good, guys. What you got for me today? What you got for me?
Well, look, we're going to get into the game, but first things first, it's funny because we're talking Grill Daddy, and then we got some more food questions for you because we follow you on social media. And we saw today, it looked like you had a beautiful brunch. You see there on the left, the French toast.
Stack them up.
But you have this second photo. 3D.
I love you guys.
3D, you have this second photo. And we dug a little deeper, looked a little closer. This looks like eggs and mushroom and cheese. Did you have 2 breakfasts today?
So what I did, I had a side of eggs.
Oh, yeah.
And I put in there and mixed it all up together.
Oh, there you go. So a little French toast and some egg. Okay, I'm glad we got to the bottom
I just love you guys.
Okay, look, 3D. Jimmy Butler facing his former team for the first time tonight when the Wolves play there in Philadelphia against the 76ers. You've been around these teams today. Is there any, lingering bad blood between Butler and his old Wolves?
Believe it or not, guys, not really. A shoot around this morning, all the media, they were too busy talking about Covington and Cyrus coming back to Philadelphia. Now with Ryan Saunders taking over, it's the new era. So not really a whole lot of Jimmy talk this morning. I was a little bit surprised, but then again, the team was like, we're moving on. It's a new era, and we're playing better basketball.
Yeah, both teams have been playing better basketball since the trade. I wanted to ask you personally, though. I mean, is it always a difficult game when you face your former team for the first time? Like, you played for the Magic for a long time, got traded right before the season. Then you were on the Mavs and you played them. Like, do you remember that game? Was it special? Were you nervous? Like, what's it like for a player in that situation?
You hit around the head, Skeets, for a long time. So when you first come into the NBA, you get drafted by a team and you're with that team, say 5, 6, 7, 8, DeAndre Jordan, 10 years, then you have a little bit more emotional value is what I call it when you go back and play that team for the first time.
Right.
Where in Jimmy's case, he was only with the T-Wolves a year and a few months, so to speak, so it's not really a lot of bad blood. Only thing really bad, we knew about the situation between him and Tibbs and how that went. Other than that, not really bad blood.
With Philadelphia, every time they do lose a game, I feel like Twitter explodes with a bunch of fans saying, this doesn't work. This big three of Embiid and Simmons and now Jimmy Butler, it won't work. We got to get rid of one of them. What's your take on that? Can these 3 guys play together, or is there's only the one ball and these 3 superstars and it won't work? What's your vibe with this?
Well, I believe it can work. I think with those 3 guys, as long as they continue to buy into the big picture, I think it can work. Brett Brown may need to tweak a few things, maybe put another shooter on the floor, because so many people talk about Ben Simmons not being able to knock down shots. When you get to the playoffs and the possession slow down, you need shot making on the floor. That's what the Sixers are going to have to figure out. How do they get more shot makers to make things looser for those 2 big guys?
Absolutely. 3D, can't thank you enough. I'm glad we got to the bottom of your brunch this morning. We had 2 breakfasts there. Yeah, you're all full. You're good to go. Yeah, it looked delicious, man. That French toast looked delicious. Enjoy the game tonight, 3D.
Oh, it was good, guys. It was good.
Oh, really good. I love it, man. When we come back, which younger team has been the bigger surprise this season? Is it those young Kings or the young Nets? We're going to debate that and more when we come back. Back with the starters. Time to play a little What You Got. Trey, take it away.
A couple of wins last night for a couple of surprise teams. The Nets got 34 points and 7 assists from D'Angelo Russell to beat the Celtics and remain in 7th in the Eastern Conference playoff race out west. The Kings beat the Blazers on the strength of 16-9 from De'Aaron Fox, keeping them a half game out of the playoff picture. Guys, who has been the bigger surprise? The Nets or the Kings? What you got?
Ooh, this is tough. This is tough. What are you going
Two
on?
teams that kind of are rebuilding in different ways. Kings going heavily through the draft. Fox, Bagley, Willie Cauley-Stein. The Nets picking up a lot of guys, sort of misfit guys, guys who haven't quite worked out on other teams. D'Angelo Russell, Joe Harris, for example. Dinwiddie, yeah, another good example. They got Jared Allen, of course. But I think it's the Kings because for so long they've just been chaotic on the floor and off the floor. And I think both of those, and it's no coincidence either, are starting to improve. We're definitely seeing a little bit more stability. And when you have that stability from your ownership and leadership, it does filter down to the court. And I know they started the season with a bit of chaos with Dave Yeager there. There was rumours about his job security, but I think that's kind of gone away. Whereas in the past, we've seen that with the Kings just continually interrupt their season. So I say the Kings, but I've been very impressed with the Nets as well.
I think it's undoubtedly the Kings. The Nets, we could see it coming a little bit last year. They lost a lot of close basketball games, and they have a really, really good coaching staff in terms of development. So we could see it coming on a little bit. The Kings, I didn't see it coming from anywhere. De'Aaron Fox, we would expect in year 2 to get better, but to have 6 guys get, markedly better is pretty surprising.
Yeah, I mean, D'Angelo Russell shot the lights out again last night. Another nice win for the Nets, and they're a fun watch because they play hard. I go Kings, though, and here's why. The only reason why I'm ultimately picking them. I'm watching the Kings Blazers game last night, the first half. And it's getting late here on the East Coast. I'm like, all right, I'm going to call it, go up to bed. But then I'm like, I sort of want to keep watching this game. I enjoy watching the Kings, all these young guys, and Fox and Bogey, and Bagley had a big game. And so I'm like, I'm going to watch this on my phone in bed here. And Nora's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I got to watch the Kings game. What am I doing? Like, I would have never said that in the last decade. I got to watch the Kings game while I'm lying in bed on my phone to catch the second half because it was that entertaining. So
because you used to use your iPad?
No, I didn't use my iPad. I got a Generation 1 iPad. It's old. It's holding on. Somehow it still works. But I don't
throw that out.
Yeah, I know. I don't know.
You've got a pretty good data plan by the sound of it.
So I got a great data plan. All right, Trey, what's the answer to this? Kings or Nets?
I think it's the Kings, too. They're over 500 in January in the West. I had to look it up like 10 times to believe it today. But moving on, according to Mark Stein of the New York Times, some of the Hawks might be leaving the nest over the next couple of weeks because in a search for more draft picks, Atlanta has made Jeremy Lin, Kent Bazemore, and Dwayne Dedmon available in trades. Seems like Lin is drawing the most interest right now, but guys, who's most likely to be traded? Lin, Bazemore, or Dedmon? What you got?
Jeremy Lin is prime for a trade, it sure feels like. And he's starring in his role as a backup point guard. You're going to add him right to your team and potentially get a playoff win or two because of Jeremy Lin and his great job that he does as a backup point guard. It's an expiring deal as well. That helps. Lin has found himself. Again, he's an older dude as well. He's in his prime. I think he's in a perfect spot right now.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think so many teams that are trying to make the playoffs or legit playoff contenders or have plans to go far in the playoffs, everybody wants a solid backup point guard to give you some sound minutes, not turn the ball over, maybe get to the free throw line, which Lin is good at. So the Raptors, the Pelicans' names are being thrown around. The Blazers, the Heat, the Kings, who are in a playoff race.
Kings makes a lot of sense.
So many teams. I mean, it makes sense to try and get a guy like that. His contract does make it interesting because it is $14 million. So some money's, unless you're the Kings, some money's going to have to be coming back there to match it. So maybe Dedmon, in that sense, has the easier contract to move. But Jeremy Lin is the better player between a Dedmon and Lin. So I think.
And that's what counts against Bazemore because he's got an option.
He's the best player of the three, but he's
got about $18 million that he's going to pick up next season. So you're taking on that contract as well, whereas the other guys, it's basically just for this season. But I think Bazemore is going to be in demand, and Mark Stein alluded to this earlier in the year because he's a good three-point shooter when he's healthy and he can play defense. So he's quite versatile. Doesn't need the ball in his hands. And, when he was a free agent a couple of years ago, there was some interest for him then. And he hasn't quite lived up to that contract, but he's also shown that he's a pretty reliable player when he is out there.
So you're going Bazemore. We got some Lins here. What's the answer here, Trey?
You touched on it for a second. I think it's going to be Dedmon because he's got that tiny contract. Teams always want a defensive big, and he would be happy to be out of Atlanta, I do think. But from now on, I'm calling him Joe Zingles because the guy's got jokes. Whether it was blowing a smooch to some courtside fans after hitting a game-sealing three right in front of him, or telling Blake Griffin straight to his face that he's a flopper, the Aussie was getting his jabs in. Guys, what was the funnier Ingles moment, the kiss to the fans, or calling out Blake? What you got?
Let's ask the Aussie.
Wow, this is a tough one. I mean, blowing a kiss to the fans, basically a game-sealing three there was fantastic, but to go straight up to Blake and just say flopper right in his face. And
well, it looks like he asked him first, right? He said, "Did you flop?" And then Blake's like, "Nah."
Yeah.
And then he does double down on it.
And he certainly didn't back away from him. So, I think I have to go with the on-court incident there, because the blowing to the kiss of the fans is, I mean, that happens a lot. You hit a big three in their face. So I'll go with that one. I'll go with the Blake.
Okay.
Yeah, that harkened me back to last year's playoffs when he was in Paul George's face.
Yep.
That was one of the better playoff series in the postseason because Joe Ingles was all up in PG. He's not scared of anybody, but the blowing the kisses was perfect.
Yeah, I
the
do.
Slow-mo camera angle.
Yeah, and he's at home, but he's blowing a kiss to some Pistons fans that are barking at him.
Yeah.
Which I like that element to it. Yeah, I go kiss as well. It's a great kiss, too. He really extends the hand.
Yeah.
Mwah.
Oh.
He's quite the trash talker, this guy, though. He goes at it back and forth, fans and players. Trey, what is the answer?
Oh, it's got to be the kiss. Paying tribute to Lee Ellis with a three-point kiss.
Oh, yeah.
Feel it with a kiss.
All right, after
Bruce.
maybe we'll get 2 kisses instead of 2 thumbs on a very solid play. What do you think, Lee?
Why not?
Yeah,
Sure.
why not? Come on back.